You'll never look at these the same way after you see this video. Because we are about to learn how to transform these humble, mundane and often overlooked objects into stunning, intricate little treasures that will make your junk journals truly stand out. Get ready to discover how seemingly valueless items can become miniature works of art, proving once more that true creativity thrives even on the smallest, most unexpected canvases. Hello everyone, it's Dragana at Saacibo. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know I even have a playlist of making charms. I love making charms and dangles for junk journals. And this is my latest contribution to that playlist. Dangles and charms made by altering key tags. Ordinary plastic, cheap and easy to obtain key tags. They come in different shapes, I suppose, and sizes. I was able to get those two here. The difference between the bought one and the one that I worked on is actually quite extreme, isn't it? To me, this is one of those extreme makeovers. It's just that we're dealing here with a key tag, not someone's appearance, face or hair. Okay, I absolutely love them. And I don't know why I didn't do this before, because it's just so obvious, you know. There's a room here for a little picture. It's got holes, easy to paint, add things. You can even make them into jewelry if you wanted to. This one is double-sided, okay. In the previous charm video, I promised I'm going to show you how I work with UV resin. And these little key tags have given me the perfect opportunity to explore that. I had a lot of fun creating and playing with these. I've learned a few things and I've made a few mistakes, and I'm going to share my mistakes with you too. I've done some with real plants as well. They were like little specimens. These are real plants inside. These are done with pictures. To help us, I prepared a freebie. 2 pages of little images that are perfect for these charms. There's this one with all these lovely ladies, and the images are reflected so that when you put them in the charm, you will have an image on both sides. Of course, you can have a different image on the back and different on the front. It doesn't really matter. And then there's one with these images. I find that the simple images with cleaner backgrounds work the best. So we have some roses, some butterflies, some birds, got some leaves here, some nautical images here too. And in terms of size, you can see that the space here is much smaller than that. So I have designed all of these to be able to fit them here. And then I found out that if I print this at 70%, okay, you end up with images that fit nicely into these ones. So if you happen to have a different one, so you'll have to experiment a little bit and see what works best for the key tags that you have. Okay, so to get my freebie, please visit my website. The same deal as always. These are absolutely free for you to download. You do not need to register, pay, subscribe. Do not enter your credit card details or anything like that. If you click on any of the ads by mistake, just close them, go back and try again. And if you wish to share my freebies, I would really appreciate if you share the link to my website. Please do not sell or redistribute in any form as a freebie anywhere else. It's okay to use printed version of all my freebies in the journals that you make and sell. Meaning that if you make a charm and you attach it to a journal that you make and sell, it's okay. We've covered that. Now let's have some fun. I think I have everything here that I'm going to need for the project. So let's just go through the tools and materials quickly. So of course you will need some key tags. You will need a sanding block or emery board. If you decide to turn them into dangles and add some other beads in the metal charms, you need some of those, and also pliers. I'm going to be using black gesso today. You can use the white gesso and then paint with acrylic paint. I suppose you can paint with acrylic paint directly, but do 2 coats perhaps. I'm going to be using some gilding wax. I have this color. Maybe I'll use a bit of ink, scissors, something to spread the glue, gloves, and UV resin. I'm quite new when it comes to using UV resin, so I have those two. So far I've been happy with them. If there are other brands, you can use them, whatever is available in your area, as long as it says UV resin. Okay, this one says hard type, hard glue, curable resin solution, crystal clear, fast curing, no yellowings. And of course, when you're working with UV resin, you need a UV lamp. This is my new UV lamp. I absolutely love it. It's much better than my old one that broke down. You'll need a straw and perhaps a lighter if there's any bubbles on the resin, and you will need a piece of recycled cardstock. Okay, preferably that is white on one side. I will explain later why. And I'm going to be using the freebies, but you can use any images that would fit inside of your key tag. You can also use your own printables. If you have some in your stash that are small and would fit inside of a key tag. You can use your own photos. You can even use decoupage napkins. You can use your marbled papers, your painty papers, your own artwork, real leaves and flowers, as I've shown you in the beginning. Step one would be to take the rings out. They're quite easy to take out. You can put them back later on if you want to use them. And these rings would be great if you want to make some tassels. Okay, we'll do 2 of each. If you can find them just black, like these 2, that's gonna save you a lot of time. But if they're in these bright colors, I always paint them. With these ones, I'm going to remove the paper that's on the inside. And with these ones, they have a piece of acetate and they have a paper. And I will actually keep all inside for now. The step number 2 would be to do a bit of sanding. When I've done it the first time, I didn't sand. And what I found is that the paint didn't really stick to it. By the time I would put jump rings, a lot of paint was scratched off. So the next batch I've done, I've decided to do the sanding, and I'm going to do it with these. Besides helping the paint adhere to the surface better, it actually gives you a nice texture. All sides. Okay, these are really shiny, much shinier compared to these. Black ones are done. So I'm going to do the same with these 2. Okay, I'm done with the sanding. Now here with these ones, I will remove the acetate, but keep it. Okay, you will need it later. And I will leave the paper inside for now. I don't want any of the paint to end on the inside. So now the next step would be to paint them. These 2 I don't need to paint with gesso, they're already black. I don't mind the color, I will only use gilding wax, but these 2 need to be painted. Before I start, better put my gloves on and some scrap paper. I'm going to use this punch thing, and I'm going to use one of these cotton tips. Okay, they're useful for this, and just black gesso. I'm going to prepare these by cutting them in half. I'm going to show you this trick. You see, it is too small for that, but too big for this one. So what I do, I just cut here like that. Just cut an opening, and then you can do this. You're basically making it smaller, and then it will fit here. to secure it nicely. Okay, same with this one. Okay, so when I paint, I try to do the inside first. You can also use a brush if that's what you prefer. And for the smaller areas, I just go in with this. Then I paint this side while I'm holding it like this securely. The sides. But just dabbing. We've done something similar when we've done charms with upcycled plastic cards. This is a similar process because we're using plastic again, but we're making it look like it's metal. And when you do this with a sponge, it also gives it a little bit of texture. I have also tried doing this with texture paste and it wasn't successful. So I'm gonna stick with gesso. I'm gonna put it here into this thing to dry. And let's do this one. Actually, I'm going to turn it that way. I'm going to do the inside here, the edge. We are going to fill this up with resin, but if you don't want that blue showing, you have to paint it. Okay, forgot to do here. It's really not that hard to paint these. And as I was preparing for the video, I was trying out different things, and then I decided just to stick with gesso. It's the quickest and it gives the best results. Okay, just paint this. If your key tags have a hole here, that open space, don't worry about it, because we'll find a way to close it before we pour the resin. Okay, so we need to let these dry, and in the meantime we can prepare the images. I'm going to use one of the portraits, so I'm just going to cut it here. The big ones, because they're double-sided, we can have the same image or we can have two different ones. But I'm going to go with the same one. It just gives that illusion that it's like a specimen, I suppose. I'm going to go with this butterfly. And then here we need just one, because these ones don't have an opening on the back. I want to make one for my nautical journal, so I'm going to go with the seahorse. One of these birds or a leaf. But I've done the leaves already, so okay. With the larger ones, have a look at this opening. It's about 3 or 4 millimeters, and if you don't place things thick enough inside, what will happen is the resin will leak. So you have to glue this onto a cardstock and make sure it's really tightly fit inside. And another thing, print these images on thicker paper. Okay, just copy paper is not going to work. I'll just give you an example. That was done on copy paper and then glued onto a cardstock. And look, when you compare that one to that one, you can see the difference. Resin makes the paper translucent. So if you have a dark background underneath and a thin paper on top, this is what can happen. So use thicker paper and use white cardstock underneath. Okay, so I'm going to glue this onto the white side. I haven't tried, but perhaps that other freebie from a few years ago when we've done charms with plastic cards, perhaps some of those images could fit inside of your key tags. I don't really need that white paper there. I am going to put just this acetate and push it all the way down, because when I pour the resin, the acetate will stop it from leaking through here. Let's see if it needs trimming. Yep. Just barely. It's a bit hard to push it in, but that's a good thing. That means it's really snug. Just push it gently, maybe like this. Yep. Good. You really want it all the way into those corners. If a little bit is sticking out, you can also just sand it here in the corners, but that's a snug fit. Okay, and with these ones, you take that part that you took. I don't want that part to be over her head, so I'm going to go a little bit above. It might be different for you, so I'm going to go something like this, and I'm just going to cut it. That part there, I just do this. You can do it with scissors, but I find it's easier to just punch like that and then trim the bits, and it's perfect. Okay, let's test it. Yeah, fits nicely. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with this one now. I just can't believe, I really can't believe I haven't done this before with these key tags. It's just so obviously great for junk journals. Okay, so that one's ready. We have to do the same with this one. Should we do the lady first or the butterfly? Let's do the butterfly. I'll just ink a little bit. So what I do, I just put them both in at the same time. And I know this is just really loose, but I'd rather do that now. You see how it is loose here? Look. If I pour resin over here, it will leak on the sides and end up on that side. So you need to put something there. And I find that just this that was there already is enough, but I do cut that bit off, open it up like that, and then I slide that. push it in. Now it's really nice and snug. It won't go anywhere and it won't leak. It shouldn't anyway. I don't think I can fit any more layers. These are not dry yet. I'm going to leave them a bit longer. But I have two that I've prepared earlier that I can use. So they are all ready. Let's put the gloves on. I've got my lamp here. I am going to now pour the resin. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to have my lighter here ready. With these two, we have to do one side, cure it, and then turn and do another side. So let's do them first. When you do this, just let it pour naturally. Don't force it too much, because if you do, you will end up with lots of bubbles. And we don't want bubbles. Okay. And try not to put too much. Now you can wait until it spreads on its own, or you can grab a cocktail stick and just push it a little bit like this. Just guide it. I think that's plenty. Now I'm going to grab my lighter. I can see a few bubbles here, so I'm just going to gently go over to remove all of them. I've switched my lamp on. I can put it over here, but because I want to keep working, I'm going to place it there and then put the lamp over while I'm working on this one. And I find that it takes about 2 minutes because it's not that thick. Can leave it longer, I suppose. I'm not an expert on UV resin. I'm just sharing with you how I have been doing this and what worked for me. I really like this butterfly. It looks very clear. Okay, let's get rid of those bubbles. Okay, that one's ready too. Okay, now these two. These are a little bit easier to do. We just have to do one side. And the shape is not that complex, I guess. Now every time I go shopping, I'm going to be looking for these Keytags. I really want to find some round ones. Love it. The lucky last. This resin does have a bit of a smell, but it's not really overpowering like nail polish. But regardless, work in a well ventilated area. All right. Cool. So we'll have to repeat the process on those double-sided ones. Put this aside for a bit. This is the one we put inside first. I think it's done, but I wouldn't recommend touching it before it cools down because it might leave fingerprints. And I wouldn't also recommend doing the other side immediately. I would wait about 10-15 minutes for it to cool down completely and then turn it and repeat the process. Okay. Love how that one turned out. It's done too. Just touching it lightly with that piece of paper rather than my fingers. Okay, I'll leave these two a little bit longer. It's also important that when you do this, you do it in a dust-free environment. Every little thing that falls inside is going to show up and it's going to float up to the surface. For example, the dust from sanding. Okay, let's take a look at these. Good. All right, so they are done. I'm going to give them 15 minutes to cool before I continue with the work. These are cured, dried, and it's been 15 minutes. They completely cooled down. So they are ready for the next step. These two, however, are done on one side. Now I have to flip them and do the other side. It worked out really well. Nothing leaked on the other side. So we'll just repeat the process. And I'm placing it underneath the lamp. The lamp is turned on. Lamp for a few minutes. Now we can proceed with those two. Now it's the time to add this finger wax or gilding wax, and I now should do it with my gloves on, but I don't have any control then. Now what I can do is just grab a black marker and color this white bit. This one that we painted, you can barely see the white underneath. Okay, but here this one wasn't painted, so you can see the paper. So what I do, I just add a little bit of black with a black marker. Use a permanent one, and then here just add a little bit on my finger, and I just go like so. This is so satisfying. It's as if it comes to life. It doesn't look like plastic, not even a little bit. Love it. And I'm going to do the same on this side. I suppose if you want to do this as a jewelry, you can add the resin to the whole thing and make it really more durable. But I'm doing these just for junk journals, and they're not gonna be washed, or hopefully they won't stand in the rain or anything like that. So I don't think I need to worry about that, but I'm just saying. Love the birdie. How cool is that texture? Okay, now this is the one we just sanded. It was black, so we didn't paint it. So you're going to see the difference now in a second. It will look more like brushed metal compared to the other one. I'll lift the other one up as soon as I'm done so that you can compare. Let's do here. I think this one stays a little bit shinier. Also looks very nice. So if you can find the black ones, save a lot of time and have a nice result too. Painted one and sanded one. Oops. Do it this way. Okay. Painted one and the one that we sanded. Love both of them. Forgot about these two. Now they really need to cool down. One more thing I want to mention before adding gilding wax to these is if you have some black contour paint, you can add a little bit of a detail with it. It looks very nice. I've tried it on one. There it is. Although this one is one of the first ones, it leaked everywhere. It peeled off in the end, but that part there, the dots, that was this contour paint and then added gilding wax on top. Let's take a look here. I've picked a few things that I think I want to use with these. I think I want to use that. And with the bird, I want to do something along these lines. Let's complete that one first. Just grab a jump ring. I've shown you this so many times, but that's all right. I'm doing it again. Very cute. And for the top bit, even just that looks good. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one like so. I've got some things here that I think might work with it. Thinking this piece of fabric frays a lot. Maybe I can fix that. I'll just cut that. Maybe I can just burn this. Some fabrics fray nice and some don't. And I guess some actually melt like this one. But I really think that green would look nice there. Perhaps even a bit of that yellow. That one would look good on top of that. I'll just cut it a little bit. So got this blue, gray. No, I'm not sure. Okay, I'll cut off this bit. And then use that ribbon clamp. Okay. Press that. Good. Nice, I like it. So nice. Love the birdie. Would be great in a nature journal, wouldn't it? It's got these earthy greeny colors, and that's for my nautical journal. So I'm gonna go and do the same here. I'm just amazed how good these look once we alter them. And I really love working with a UV resin. I've only worked with the regular epoxy resin before, and that takes a long time to set. So I guess it's okay if you work on larger things. And this UV resin is really great because things are done quickly. Maybe I can do a little lace thing on this one. I have these laces here, so I might as well. I wasn't going to, but now I want to. This lace was dyed with pomegranate. I'm going to just cut these like so. Good. Okay. And I will add the heart too. So I'm going to first add the heart to the chain. Close it. And now I need one of these. Open it up. I put it through the chain and through here. And then through there. Close it. Love it. I'm very happy with it. Now I can go straight with that, but I think I'm going to add one of these first. And now one of these. It would look, I think, gorgeous on the cover of the journal or maybe on the spine. And this one is quite simple. I'll just add a butterfly here. Let's close it. So cute. Okay, and another one. I'm gonna go with the bigger one for the top. Now let's look at these side by side. That's what you start with and that's what you end up with. I mean, it's a big improvement, isn't it? At least for us junk journalists, it is. I have several charms here, but I'm thinking this one would really look good there on this nature journal. I can also keep that and attach that to here. Love that paper charm. So I'm just going to add it there. So I can have both of them. Why not? We could do whatever we want and just add that to the same place. There it is. I'm so in love with these charms. And I love how it all looks with resin, the glassy look. Beautiful. And the lovely lady, I have this little cover that I've started and haven't finished, but I'm thinking it would look good here once I'm done with the journal. Okay, so I'm going to leave it for that journal. And this little one, I think this one has room for more charms. I'm going to find room for it. I've been adding charms to the closure. Yeah, just there. Cool. So many charms on it. But I love it. It's one of my favorite journals. Before I wrap up for today, there's just one more thing that I forgot to say at the start. It's about stamped images. When I first started doing this, I had this idea of creating little charms with stamped images, okay? So I stamped a few, but I wouldn't use stamped images together with resin. This is why, okay? I used permanent ink, and yet the ink got really fuzzy and dissolved. Okay, so if you decide to do this, perhaps ink would work if you just put a piece of acetate and create like a little specimen. But with resin, I wouldn't recommend. Every time I think I've done every possible way of creating charms for junk journals, then something else comes along, just like these key tags. Anyway, who knows what's in store next. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope I see you soon in the next video. Bye for now.